Alright team, in this video we're going to do two things. The first thing is we're going to continue to practice the main way I'm going to deliver new information to you guys in this class, which is through instructional videos. And we're also going to review some of the systems and procedures we're going to use to make our time together efficient and work well. So we're going to start with this idea of a checklist. You should have a handout that looks like mine here in the video that you should be taking notes on, right? And I just want to explain to you some best practices for using the checklist. You guys have all had checklists before in other parts of your life, right? So this is not rocket science by any means. We'll start with two spots in the checklist that you should really pay attention to. The first is just here, where it says location. These are going to be where links live to all of your work. The vast majority of your work in this class is going to be digital. And yes, you will need your Chromebook every day. Notice the mastery check in blue that says in class, because that will be really the only thing that is on paper consistently in here. Is when it's time to take a quiz, you'll do that in class on paper. And then the other thing to pay attention to is just the deadlines, the due date. So these due dates are suggested. Really, they're all suggested. But this 9/1 due date in this case, the mastery check, that is a date when a grade is entered. So at the end of the day on September 1st, I would be entering this particular grade. So the thing that you want to note here is the mastery check due date is when that grade is entered. So that means if you haven't finished it by that time, you'll have a 0 in the gradebook or a 50 in the gradebook until you master. And then just how to use these, some best practices. Well, the first is just to work in order. So I construct these in a very particular way, and it's an order that makes it, I think, easiest to learn. So if you're skipping around, it's going to feel harder to do the work than as if you worked in order. For example, the first thing is usually a video. If you skip the video, you might have a harder time. The second thing is just make sure you're checking things off as you go. That's why I made it a checklist, right? So this will help you stay organized, but it will also populate to a tracker that I'll show you a bit later that's going to help us collaborate together as a class. So it's important to keep this checklist up to date so that everybody knows where everybody else is. And then the last thing is just make sure when you use the turn in button, you only click that button, and that's this button here, right? You only click that button when you're all the way done with all the items. So you'll check off the mastery check once you've passed it, and then you'll click turn in. Because if you do it early, what happens is you won't be able to check the boxes anymore. So that's the checklist. All of your work for this class for the entire year is going to live in a checklist. So you get really familiar with this, and it's gotten good feedback. Students really think this is an easy way to organize our work together. The next thing is just some physical spaces. So if you're doing this in class, you can look around the room. The room's not very big, so it'll be quite obvious where all this stuff is, right? This corner in the back is the mastery corner. If you've made it this far, you've already taken a mastery back here. And you know that it's a silent space to work. So if you're beyond that blue line in the corner, you should not be talking so that everybody can do their best individual work. Our notes handouts live here. And what I want you to do is I want you to help yourself. The best time to grab them is probably on your way into the room, but if you need to get up and grab something during work time, like, you don't need my permission or anything. Same is true of all the loaner items on the door. So that's headphones, calculators, and chargers. And here, what I want you to do is leave your ID. Not that I think that you're going to steal any of my items here. None of them are particularly valuable. But this just helps save me from having to put stuff away at the end of class. And then this last thing, this little book thing, is probably the most important thing to know. And you have not probably used this yet, but this has answer keys in it. So some of the work that I give you is self-grading, but others you're going to have to use this binder to check your own work. So I don't always check your answers for you. Sometimes you're responsible for that on your own. By the way, pre-calc is not the only class that I teach, right? So in this binder, you are the black pages, the black tabs. And then in the notes area, you are the red folders. Okay. So make sure your notes are complete before you move on. I know I'm going quite quickly, but like you guys are definitely smart enough to navigate this pretty easily, I think. Now I just want to talk about some procedures for taking mastery checks, retakes, and then how we're going to collaborate together. So for mastery checks, there's two things that I check. You will need to show me that your notes are complete, including the formative page. So usually the last assignment in a module is an assignment on formative, and I ask you, and you can see this if you flip to the back in the packet you're working through now, I give you a few problems from the formative that I want you to write down, and here it's not super rigorous, obviously, because this is an intro. But usually what I do here is I try to help you out by highlighting the problems that are most like the problems that you're going to see on the quiz. So I check both that your video notes are done and those formative notes are done. Completed notes, and then the other thing is a completed Delta Math. So that's an online platform that you'll explore right after you're done watching this video. And the thing you need to know about that is you need 100% on Delta Math. It's one of those things where it gives you as many attempts as you need. So you work until you have as many answers correct as I required. Okay, and then you'll just let me know that you're ready to take a mastery, and then I'll give you the mastery, and you'll take it in the mastery check zone. A good thing to know is like only mastery checks have to be completed here in the room. So everything besides mastery checks can be completed outside of class. And then for retakes, so retakes are when you get less than 4 out of 5 correct. And usually I have you complete corrections or review. And we'll conference together, so I'll tell you, like, we'll go over the ones you got wrong potentially, or I'll at least tell you where to look. And the goal, of course, is that you pass the retake. And I know you're going to ask is how many times can we retake? And there's as many retakes as you need. Okay. That doesn't mean you should just guess over and over and over again until you pass. But I will definitely give you as many opportunities as you need to do your best work. And then the last thing, this is really cool, you guys. Probably you've never had something like this in a class before. I'm going to project a tracker every day. And what this does is that it shows us where everybody is, right? So it shows the progress of each class member, and really what this is for finding somebody that you can ask for help or for finding somebody to work with. So I allow collaboration in this class on anything besides the mastery check. So like you can work together with your classmates on whatever you want. You'll notice now that there is this help queue down at the bottom, and you'll notice an assignment in Google Classroom called the help button. And this help button puts you on the list, right? So if you go in and check this box, and you can try it out if you want, check this box, and then your name will show up here in this help list. And really what I want you to do here is add your name to the list when you're stuck. And you will sometimes get stuck in this class, because if you were never getting stuck, I wouldn't be doing your job. So again, you'll check this box, your name will show up here. And the way we are going to do our best work in here is really there's two things. First is ask 3 before me. So that means ask the people around you for help before you put yourself on this list. Whenever I have a question about my job, I don't necessarily always run to Mr. Gunty to ask him that question right away. I might ask another teacher if they know, before I go straight to the top. So, and usually somebody around you will know. And again, this tracker up here is a great place to look if you need to know who is on the same thing as you or who has finished the thing that you're working on. And then the other thing I'm going to add here is if you see something, say something. And that means if you see somebody's name on this list, be a good classmate. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Ask them what they're working on and see if you can help them. If we do that all year, we're going to get tons of work done in here.